Progress is a race that has no end. After every finish line, another challenge awaits. How can we continue to push innovation in a sport at the forefront of technology? This is how. Discover how Aramco and the Aston Martin Formula One team aim to meet Formula One's sustainable fuel targets. Aramco, powered by how.
مع التحديث الجديد لستي سي بلاي، تجربة جديدة للكل. لو جوك دايم تحديات، نافس وانضم للبطولات، استكشف الشات والتايم لاين، وتسوق من متجر التطبيق. الليدر بورد على تفاعلك بالتطبيق، والجوائز الأسبوعية والشهرية على نظام النقاط تنتظرك. ستي سي بلاي، مهما كان جوك هذا محلك.
عايز تترجم راب؟ تعالالي. ملوك السين دي انا ملخصها في سطور، بس مين يقرا؟ فاهم؟ كلام الشارع ده انا هرشه كل المجال حبايبي بروز.
وانا كاكازوكو مصدع ايه ابكي نظرة لو على الحلاوة عندي كاستر والاسم
عفرت يا عفرت، هتفضل معفرتها ولا ايه يا برو؟
انت مين يا هو ازاي ده دخل هنا يا جدعان؟
نكسر الدنيا الاول وبعدين نتكلم، نعيد من الاول.
لا 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 مش مسجل.
اخواتي
عشان فاهمين السين، سبوتيفاي عمل لك بلاي ليست الاقوى راب مصري، تسمع ملوك السين ببلاش.
Progress is a race that has no end. After every finish line, another challenge awaits. How can we continue to push innovation in a sport at the forefront of technology? This is how. Discover how Aramco and the Aston Martin Formula One team aim to meet Formula One's sustainable fuel targets. Aramco, powered by how.
مع التحديث الجديد لستي سي بلاي، تجربة جديدة للكل. لو جوك دايم تحديات، نافس وانضم للبطولات، استكشف الشات والتايم لاين، وتسوق من متجر التطبيق. الليدر بورد على تفاعلك بالتطبيق، والجوائز الأسبوعية والشهرية على نظام النقاط تنتظرك. ستيسي بلاي، مهما كان جوك هذا محلك.
عايز تترجم راب؟ تعالالي. ملوك السين دي انا ملخصها في سطور، بس مين يقرا؟ فاهم؟ كلام الشارع ده انا هرسه كل المجال حبايبي بروز.
وانا كاكازوكو مصدع ايه ابكي نظرة لو على الحلاوة عندي كاستر والاسم
عفرت يا عفرت، هتفضل معفرتها ولا ايه يا برو؟
انت مين يا هو ازاي ده دخل هنا يا جدعان؟
نكسر الدنيا الاول وبعدين نتكلم، نعيد من الاول.
لا 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 مش مسجل.
اخواتي
عشان فاهمين السين، سبوتيفاي عمل لك بلاي ليست الاقوى راب مصري، اسمع ملوك السين ببلاش.
proudly presented by Saudi Airlines, the Riyadh Masters 2022. أعزائنا الحضور والمشاهدين، بكل فخر نقدم لكم كأس رياض ماسترز 2022 الدوتا 2.
Hello and welcome to the last day of the RIYADH Masters. Today we have 3 best of 3s that will determine our final winner. We only have 4 teams left. Currently competing is going to be OG and LGD. That's going to be the first match of the day, which is why we brought the expert insight of someone with some insider information. It's JMR Luna, the CEO of OG Esports.
Hello, sir.
Thank you for coming on the panel.
I was like, the expert is coming after me, or?
Yeah, the expert here. Actually, the real reason why we have JMR Luna is because we had the most biased panelist for LGD last time. That's Danog. Hello, Danog.
Hello, hello. I'm doing well, well. And it should be a great series, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
amazing.
when we came into this one, when the brackets were being formed, when we saw who was on what side of the bracket, I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit here. Seb's like, oh, which side's OG on? And then he looked and is like, the winner of the LGD series is going to be facing him. He's like, ah, damn it. But he really obviously values LGD. Like, he thinks that they're a fantastic team. And honestly, I think that's the sort of attitude that you want to have. You want to be playing against these international teams because it's going to be such a different experience for a lot of these young players, right, Jay?
Yeah, I think that for us, when we look at LGD and we look at Enigma, we're like, oh, wow, we think we have the 2 strongest opponents in our side.
Yes.
And LGD, obviously, there's a different roster, and it's completely different than the team that we beat back in the day, but they are incredible.
Yeah.
They're really, really good. And they have a different meta of how we play, so that's going to be really fun as well.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever consider the idea of like you're playing against experienced, like for example, Team Spirit, right? Some experienced players with a lot of new blood, much like you guys. LGD is quite the opposite. They're all of these experienced players. Is that ever a threat to any of the young players in the team?
I think that one of the fun things about our team is that they are completely fearless. They don't care who's in front of them. I don't think they're thinking about the money, they're thinking about the points. It's more like, okay, this guy, how do I wreck this guy?
That's cool. Yeah, what is it, the passion of youth or whatever it is, the saying, but it's just like, you just feel like you're invincible, I think, is the big thing that drives a lot of these young players. You know, they just want to play Dota, they want to beat whoever's in front of them, and again, I feel like, yeah, it would have been great to see OG take on Nigma again. Obviously, tons of great players. It would have been great to see them take on Secret, but a completely new experience with LGD is just going to be so invaluable moving forward.
But this format, of course, does not allow for invincibility. There have to be some losers, and we're going to check it out now so we get the format on the full screen. This is a format that we've seen this whole tournament. Today is the last day, so if you've missed it, we're sorry. 2 groups of 5 teams, all best of 2 round robins. 2 teams get eliminated from each group, and now we're in the playoffs. 2 teams made directly to semifinals of playoffs. One of them OG, the other team, Team Secret. And now we go into the single elim playoffs. There's no second chances. It's all best of 3s. The only second chance you get is the second game of the best of 3. That's it. You lose 2 in a row, you're out. So despite this boost that they get going to the semifinals, it's not going to help them too much just yet. Prize pool, this is what we got going for us. $4 million at stake, and the winner will take $1.5 million here, with a couple other extra prizes as well, you know, given to players for great performances, interviews, etc., etc. But this is the actual prize pool just for winning at Dota.
Yeah, and everyone that's playing today essentially is already qualified for one of those top 4 spots. So having a minimum of 425k, pretty nice.
I mean, it's insane because we just won the major, and by placing 4 here is like winning 2.5 majors just now already.
Nice.
So imagine like the scope of this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
You also get a trophy with it, right? Which
We get a
can see
trophy,
here.
yeah.
That's the big part of it. Woo-hoo. This trophy, of course, this is an AR rendition of the trophy, but they will get a physical trophy, which some tournaments don't always give out. But this one, I guarantee they will, won't they, JMR?
Yeah. Look, for us, we were trying to put like a trophy case last year, and we realized that some of the trophies of the past were never sent to us. So we're trying to track them down.
Yeah. Well,
Do you think it'll need to be a big case though? Because OG, over its history, has won a fair few titles.
I think that one of on this slide, we have like the 5 majors and the 2 TIs, but there is this legend that we were like dominant for the whole time, and we were not. We were more like the first iteration, was very dominant. And then we had the second iteration. But then it was all about picking, How do we pick on TI? We're obviously known for the long breaks, and the relaxing seasons, then to come and pick on TI. But now the whole system is so different that you really have to grind the whole year. So I think this is very rewarding, seeing the boys perform season through season through season. And now this, which is like a pinnacle in the middle of the season, which is really cool.
Now we can see how this performance went, seeing the bracket for this very tournament. As you can see, and we explained this earlier, OG and Team Secret, they went directly to semifinals because of a great group stage, 7-1, 6-2 and 7-1 respectively. And then we had PSG, LGD, Enigma Galaxy, RNG, and Team Spirit all competing to get to those spots. In the last matches, or the matches yesterday, we got to see PSG, LGD 2-1 Enigma Galaxy and Team Spirit 2-1 Royal Never Give Up, which means that both those teams unfortunately are going to be out of the tournament, but PSG, LGD, and Team Spirit continue. Now we're going to watch OG versus PSG, LGD, a grand final rematch for TI. A rematch for the ages, honestly, 2 of the best teams historically speaking. And here is the schedule. First, it's OG, PSG, LGD. I already was pretty clear about this one, but afterwards we get Team Spirit, Secret, a team that's only lost a single game this tournament to Team Spirit, and it was a best of 2, 1-1. What's the final game going to look like? We don't know. Then the grand final, of course, we'll get the winners of each game for an epic show-off of DOTA with best of 3 format, of course.
Yeah, it's going to be real exciting. I think you mentioned the rematch of OG, LGD, but it's really only Arme that's the last man standing left from that epic standoff.
Oh, and CL8, right?
No, I mean,
hey, give the director credit. He's the guy that controls.
Was he with them at the time? I thought it was QQQ that was the
I'm
coach
actually
at the
unsure.
time.
That's a good point, actually.
I feel like it might have been QQQ coaching them at the time. So yeah, Arme, obviously he's achieved so much, but he always seems to come so close yet so far. So this might be the big international tournament that he just breaks out and has that superstar performance.
Yeah, everyone's talking about his hardworking nature, his stoic nature as well. In a way, a little bit similar to your Ana, wasn't he? This guy that just keeps on grinding. He peaks at the big tournaments, but this consistency is what differentiates him, perhaps.
Yeah, and I like to add what you were saying. I think it's really cool that these 2 organizations get to meet together again with completely different rosters, It really shows that dedication that they have and that we have to this game, that we work so hard with the new roster that here we are again, But
yeah, it's going to be exciting.
It's going to be very, very exciting. It's a long day at DOTA, but I think it's well worth it. I only wish we could have more games. Maybe next time we got to put the lower bracket in, just like slide it in into this tournament. Nice. Yeah, that would be very nice. But we're excited about this first match, OG versus PSG, LGD. Let's talk a little bit of the history of the teams. We have an OG expert here, but I want to start with PSG, LGD actually. Danog is also PSG, LGD expert, aren't you, Danog?
Absolutely. No. I mean, what can be said that hasn't been said about them already, right? Superstars across every single position, the pedigree of someone like Zhao Wei, a TI winner, being able to come in and provide that guidance, that drafting expertise, bring a completely new style of meta, heavily based around the team fight and baiting and survivability. They're just so strong across all different aspects. If there's one area that I think you can beat LGD, it's crush them in the laning stage. And that's what Team Secret did in the group stage. That's what I thought Enigma Galaxy might have been able to do, but it just doesn't happen sometimes. Sometimes you just fall a little bit short. There's a tiny little mistake, but OG, their playstyle to Enigma Galaxy is very similar. So I think maybe they'll be able to see what went wrong for Enigma Galaxy previously and maybe tinker with that a little bit and take the W.
LGD has been known for their adaptability. That's how they beat Enigma Galaxy. We'll see if they are able to adapt the OG playstyle and manage to win a major. But before we get to see that wonderful encounter, we're going to take a small break and come back with game number 1 between PSG, LGD, and OG. Stay tuned. Welcome back. A quick break for an exciting series. You know, we gotta get right into the action. Of course, the teams are still getting ready, you know, getting their favorite mice and their keyboards. I know you've had some interesting requests about that in the past, haven't you, Jamar?
Yeah, the guys are always special. Our team actually is not really picky with things, you know? We have 2 players that play without mouse pads.
Oh. Who plays with that mouse?
Animals, PCM and Taiga.
Right, okay. I thought it would be Amar, actually.
No, Amar has like different keyboards requests. When he plays, you can hear the tac, tac, tac. I think he doesn't play with the hand on the keyboard. He plays with the hand 4 centimeters the keyboard because he needs the speed. That's how he feels like he's in the group.
Like being aggressive with the keyboard, basically.
Yeah.
Does that link in? I know you were sharing with us a little bit his music choices as well.
Oh,
with the style that he likes to play. I know. It's a little.
So Amar plays sometimes with the headphones on the desk, and he's blasting heavy metal out of the headphones, so you can hear the the whole time, and you hear the he's hilarious.
It really fits his playstyle, doesn't it? Just like full-on aggression. This is my lane. You're not going to take it over. I'm the man.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I'm imagining him when he plays Timber Song. We're talking about this. Like, you can tell how some players play in lane. They have like a certain swagger to it, even though they're just clicking buttons. I think this is the perfect analogy for Amar, who though is an identifiable playstyle for LGD. Would you say?
I would say Jinkyu. You know, he's always everyone's favorite. You know, he's just always up in your face, you know, creating a ton of pressure. And we always talk about these +1 impacts in a lot of team fights. Jinkyu is the guy to be able to do that, right? Because Faith Beyond, he tends to be playing a little bit more of that like passive pushing style where the team groups up around him. It's not his job to go for the 1 extra. That's all on Jinkyu.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he has become an international symbol. I think it all started with a little belly rub that we got at TI.
Buddha pat.
The Buddha pat, yeah. And then ever since, you know, people have been spraying his face all over the world. I have not talked to a player in any region that does not know Jinkyu and his playstyle, which is incredible for him. But on the OG side, you know, you have also an incredible 4, but also a very wholesome 4, isn't it, Taiga? One of the nicest people I think I've ever met.
Yeah, the story of how we end up with Taiga is that when we put the team together, there was not a lot of people that wanted to play with Misha. People were like, well, we don't really know him, where is Johan, where is Seb? And Taiga was able to, he was our first signing, and he was like the gel, you know? He's old, veteran compared to the kids. He's super loving, he has a nurturing personality, and he was okay, you know, playing with the younger talent. And every day he provides a lot of leadership for the team and for Amar.
Yeah, for sure. We've been talking about in the past where at the Stockholm Major when OG were able to lift up the trophy, you could tell Amar was maybe a little bit shy, but it was Taiga as well as Seb that really just pushed him there to say, look, this is your moment, make sure to enjoy it. And that's the type of nurturing personality, excuse me, that you keep talking about.
And I think for us, there's always this, you know, you guys know this better than ever. There is who they are when they're playing and who they are outside. They're 16, they don't have a lot of experience outside of the game, but inside the game, he's fearless. You hear the comments of Amar, it's like, no, we're gonna kill this guy right now. He's not getting away with this. So it's really funny to see the dichotomy between the inside and outside the game.
Who would you say in the team is the most different from inside outside the game?
Probably Amar. Amar is one of the funniest people I have ever met in my life. He's hilarious. Like during the major, we have the step buff, okay? Seb comes in, he's like, okay guys, we're gonna play like this, we're gonna be great, we're gonna be friends, and Amar is like, dude, you're so cringy. Like, no, thank you.
Oh, the old man, like going up against all of these teenagers, you know, it's like, oh, no, am I out of it? Am I out of touch? But clearly not.
And in Discord, they all changed their names to Grandpa Seb or like Grandpa's son, like grandson, so it's really fun. They make fun of him.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually have a little video to meet the OG roster a little bit more closely as well, so let's check it out.
I think the video just played.
Okay, sorry, we were promised a different video. We have a roster that's going to show up on the screen to know all their faces and their peoples, their tags exactly as JMR talks about them. So we got to meet Amar a little bit, but I think some of the 2 players in the team doesn't get talked as much about because I guess their personalities are quieter. One, the actors in the back is Yuragi and BZM. I know BZM got selected by Amar, and that's one of the reasons why he's an OG, isn't he?
Yeah, the stories are always going to be very fun. So after we got Taiga for the roster, the next piece was Amar. And we went to talk to Amar, and I don't think that maybe I made a mistake of not communicating properly, but during the interview, he's like, okay, Johan, Seb, then me, And I was like, no, so Johan and Sepp are not going to be playing this season. Okay, no worries. So Creep Wave and Misha coach. It's like, no, dude. So Misha is playing, Taiga is playing, and you're going to be playing with us. And he's like, okay. How about PCM? I was like, yeah, we like him. You want to talk to him? So they play together in Creep Wave. They have a great feeling for the game together. Also, Chu, our coach, was playing with him in Creep Wave. He was laning with Amar. So I think that they brought this synergy and friendly that they built into this roster, and it's like working really well for them.
I want to ask about that. Like, obviously, it is very appealing to be able to go for... A lot of teams might pick up 1 or 2 of these younger talent, these unproven, because Creep Wave, while they were a solid team, they showed their potential a lot of the time. They were, at the time, a Division 2 team. They were putting together pretty solid performances. I think they finished 3rd or 4th in Division 2. So what about these players in particular really set them apart, where you're like, these guys can actually make that transition to Division 1 and be the best in the region?
I think all credit to Misha. Misha was the one that believed in them, and he said, look, I think these kids are like one little help from just blowing up. And he was the one that crafted the roster. I think Johan and Seb were just watching who he wanted to bring, and we saw some of the replays, but credit to Misha.
It shows that there's a lot of talent that gets discovered as well through the DPC system, right? These guys get chances. Creep Wave was historically one of our favorite teams. We got to cast a lot of Western European DPC, and if you guys don't know, the name actually comes from Fishman. There's a story in a pub where Fishman, they're position 5, which I know is good friends with all these, with all the players in Creep Wave. Someone told them, I forgot, it was a famous pro player, I think it was Ramses, who said, "You're so useless, Fishman, I would rather just have an extra Creep Wave." And that's where the whole name comes from.
Oh dear.
Fishman, unfortunately, not get ported to OG, but I think Amar was a big fan of getting Fishman on OG as well, right?
Yeah.
He did try to sell him a bunch, yeah.
I think he brings it up once a week.
They're still good friends. It was really nice to ties. You know, when they left, the social media manager from Creep Wave still talked about PCM and Amar. They were very proud of them. So it's nice to see that Division 2 teams still supporting their own, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But they do have the opponent. We just saw them there, LGD, all those lovely faces, those veterans coming up. And Jay, I know you were saying previously that it does feel a little bit like they've got...
Let's see them walk out on this stage.
Time is upon us. The games are almost ready to begin, and our first match is bound to entertain. That's right. What we have come to the stage is a beast from the EU region, someone all too familiar with their performance recently in the Stockholm Major. Hot off a win and now at full power and looking dominant out of the group stage. Welcome to the stage, the one, the only Team OG.
فريق اوجي وصل للمسرح، وزي ما احنا عارفين توهم جايين من فوز في بطولة ميجر جدا كبيرة، لكن خصمهم ممكن بدأ بداية صعبة في البطولة، لكن قدر يستمر لما وصل لمرحلة انه يتأهل الى النصف النهائي بعد مباريات كانت ثقيلة، وهو يعتبر الامل الاخير للجمهور الصيني انهم يمكن يقدرون يكتبون اسمهم على كأس رياض ماسترز لأول مرة ويصنعون التاريخ معنا في رياض ماسترز. اعزائنا المشاهدين والحضور، رحبوا معنا فريق PSG LGD.
The stakes are high. This is a single elimination. Lose here and you are just out. On one side stands the final bastion of hope for the Chinese region. On the other, possibly their biggest kryptonite. All too familiar, OG versus LGD, time and time again, blocking their way. Can they finally overcome their demons and take the win? Let's find out as we prepare for the games.
مباراة فريق OG و LGD مو أول مرة نشوفها وقد شاهدناها مرات كثيرة، لكن هالمرة هذه تبي تكون الستيكس جدا عالية، لأنه في حالة خسارتك للجيم ما عاد بيكون عندك فرصة أنك تكمل سنجل إليمينيشن ماتش وخطوة أخيرة قبل ما يتأهل فريق إلى الجراند فاينل، بيكون أول فريق معنا يوصل إلى الجراند فاينل في الرياض ماسترز. مباراة بتكون ثقيلة. خلونا على طول أعزائي المشاهدين نروح للاستوديو التحليل على طول ونفتتح اليوم النهائي من بطولة رياض ماسترز.
We've gone to watch the teams walk out on that stage. And everyone's talking about, the storylines. Oh, OG always beats LGD. That's the one thorn. Is that really true, Dan? Do you think LGD sees them that way? I know you do, JMR.
I don't know. I think LGD are going to take a very similar attitude to OG, that this is a good learning experience for them, because we always talk about, we have a bit of a Western focus when we think about all these things. It's like OG's first chance to play this Chinese juggernaut, right? Whereas it's also LGD's first chance to play OG in quite some time. They're going to be able to take that back.
Everyone, right? LGD is like, finally, we can play international teams. I'm curious on the other side. Everyone's talking about how this is the big test for OG because they get to play against the Chinese teams. Is that true to you, Jamar?
I think that for us, there's specific learnings that the team has to go through from now until TI to be ready. And this is one of them, Okay. You have to go internationally to play a tournament. You have to feel what the pressure it feels when you play with these guys, because it's really big.
Right.
And whatever they win or whatever they lose, they're going to have that experience, because you don't want to learn that during TI.
Yes.
Yeah, even for the Chinese teams, right? Like LGD or Chinese Dota in general, there is a bit of a stereotype that they're kind of a little bit too stubborn when it comes to these lands. They stick with what they know for too long, whereas other teams are known to adapt a little bit, bring out something new mid-tournament, which for something like TI, which this year it's a multi-week tournament, might be a little bit more challenging. I think flexibility is even more at a premium. And Jay, I want to ask you something as well. You were briefly talking to me about before how OG might be viewing this, like you said, as a learning experience, but how do you feel the pressure is going to be on them versus, let's say, LGD?
I think LGD has to have more pressure, I mean, if they get beat by a bunch of 16-year-olds, I'm going to be tweeting on them. It's like, oh, what's up, bro?
What happened? What happened? I thought you guys were the kings, yeah.
What do you think, LGD expert? Do you think that the age matters to them? The experience? Do you think they value that a lot? Or is it just Dota, good Dota's good Dota?
Bro, Dota players are Dota players. They have pride. You don't want to get stomped by anyone. Not to say they will get stomped, of course, but I think that they're definitely going to get it from their fans if OG are able to come out on top, and that's not what anyone wants. Everyone wants to be the big dog.
Sure. Have we had that experience? Because I know, for example, the other Chinese coaches, right, RTK, was very vocal about his beefs with literally half the scene at this point. Very passionate man. Do you think Xiaoba also has that kind of attitude, or do you feel like he's just game at a time, play the best Dota you can?
He seems a lot more measured. You see a lot of these teams, and sometimes it's good for the performance in terms of just keeping your emotions steady, right. Not riding too high, not going too low, because then you can have dips and all that sort of stuff. But it's just so entertaining to see those really explosive, fiery personalities, which is why someone like Amar obviously has such a big fan base. Or honestly, he's a little polarizing as well. Some people love him, some people love to not love him so much.
I think he's the funniest guy we have on the roster, and we're very lucky to have him. He's amazing, and he's grown a lot, Yeah. He used to be a little bit more of the challenging punk when he joined the roster, and now he's really understood what it takes to win and how you need to really harmonize with everybody else. And he's been lovely to work with.
I want to ask at one point, now it's long past that, but there was a little bit of beef in the Stockholm Major with Amar with a couple of players.
Beef.
Yeah, beef. One particular one was Matthew from Thunder Awaken. They said some words to each other in a pub, and Amar actually apologized as he progressed to the Stockholm Major, which I thought was interesting. He won the game. He's like, very sorry for what I said. Didn't mean to be mean. Was that something he had planned the whole time? Do you guys know anything about this storyline for Amar?
No, we really don't try to control who they are or how they're going to be. I know that Amar is just a competition. He's 16-year-old and he's constantly, bouncing, and he wants you to bounce back. He doesn't want just to run you over and how he plays and how he talks. But if he feels or he ever felt that somebody was taking offense, it's not his objective, you know? He will apologize if he have to.
That's very nice. To apologize on a big stage takes a lot of guts, you know. He seems like a very shy person, so to do that, I feel like that's a test of courage for him, right?
He's great. He's a great kid.
It's always a bit of fun, right? Like, you don't want it to be this one-way street where you're just, like, giving a lot of this banter, giving, and getting nothing back. You know, that's what I was saying before about these more exuberant personalities. You want that showmanship to be able to come out. And honestly, LGD probably one of the more calm, cool, collected teams that are less likely to be able to give a little bit back. But, you know, we saw in their series, even against D-Boosters, when they were able to get that level 1 Roshan, we saw a few smiles go across the LGD, and, you know, they were happy. They were bantering in the all chat, which is always great to see. But we're into the draft, and, well, speaking of Amar, he has been able to pick up that Viper for himself. So clearly a lot of attention being given to him with those first couple of bans, the Timbersaw and the Razor. Obviously, Amar Timbersaw, very fearsome. Razor seems a little bit like the hero of the tournament. Something's got to slip through.
Yeah. I'm curious about the Viper, because all the picks that we've seen for Amar.
Now, who's playing what?
Okay, never mind. Maybe it is Amar Slaughter. This is interesting. What do you think of the deviation is? I mean, Viper clearly a flex still, but could Slaughter be played in other positions, Dano?
I'm not feeling quite as strong about it. Back when he was playing on Liquid, Tiger as the position 4 sometimes switched up roles with Boxy at the time when there was a Slaughter in the game. It was a little bit more likely, yeah. So I'm keen to see how it works out, because Nature's Prophet, it's one of those heroes that's good at bullying out people in the lane. You've got a lot of ways to be able to just deal quick physical damage to the heroes, assuming it is a position 1. Arme's played it a couple of times, POS 1, so it could certainly be the case, but I think they're just wanting to leave their options open. We've seen, you know, Viper paired with a Dragon Knight a lot of these other times, and clearly they're just thinking that the minus armor against someone like the Tiny, if it is indeed going to be a core at some stage, is going to be a little bit more valuable.
JMR, one of the brands, I think, for OG, for all Dota fans, has been the idea of, like, never giving up, right? There's one of the best teams historically at coming back from lost games. Do you feel like this current iteration also has that spirit as well? Or do you think they are very much of a snowbally kind of rotation, winning lanes?
I think we're a little bit greedier than we were before. I mean, understatement. We're the greediest team in the world. And I think that, look, when we see the draft here, the fun thing that I can add, you always start thinking, oh no, this is for sure the carry player, the carry hero. In OG, you don't know. But we don't know, they don't know, and BCM definitely doesn't know. He's like, okay, what am I going to get stuck playing, you know?
Who's the person that decides how everything works together at the end? Is that Misha or is that Chubash?
I think Amar has a lot of impact with it, and obviously Misha and Chu as the captain and the coach. But I think everybody gets a feeling of what's happening, you know? We practice so much, you know, you've seen already the iterations, and we know what kind of hero pool everybody feels comfortable playing.
And when you flex a pick, when does the Amar test happen? Is that after, when they're deciding it, or before?
Okay, so the Amar test is that Amar will check your level in Dota Path of a hero. And if he doesn't like it, he will just disregard anything you say. So there was like a moment on the major where Seb was like, oh, I think this is a good AA pick. And Amar went to Dota Path, and he clicked Wind Ranger. He didn't say, no, I think, no, but no, you're playing Wind Ranger.
What is it? It's like Dota Plus, it's like gold or above, basically.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but if you don't pass it, you're not playing the hero.
I think Seb in your podcast said it was first they would check win rate, then last few games, right?
Yes.
That was it, and of course the level was the first thing. I think it was like level 10 or above, but you're not playing it, right?
Yeah.
Really high standards for him. LGD also has high standards, but those are decided by the director, as we like to call him, right? Whenever he has a plan, he tells his players to practice this beforehand. That's why they're always ready. That's why they're so versatile. What can you tell me about this plan you're seeing right now? Actually reminiscent a little bit of the RNG lineups we saw with this early Furion.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just... Viper is one of those heroes that is not very mobile. That's its big weakness. You want to stand there, you want to be a turret, you want to force down towers, objectives, be a beast in a lot of these team fights. If indeed it is a core Viper, we still don't know. But we've got this Furion, of course, very mobile, able to move around the map, and they are kind of single target focused as well on OG at this point in time. So that's why it's really important for them to take away a few of those easier opportunities to be able to dominate the lane. Of course, a Warlock Bristleback against an off-lane Nature's Prophet is a fantastic lane. Bristleback pullback once you hit level 25, honestly even level 20, level 18, these big power spikes, all that physical damage from the Quill Spray is just going to be amped up by the Corrosive Haze from the Slardar. It just means that you can continue balling on forward. And ooh, new hero Pog Champ. We've got a Dazzle coming out here. Again, it's all about the burst damage, and it's all about the single target burst damage that OG have right now. So someone like a Dazzle's pretty good, but it's kind of just like delaying the inevitable, you know? It's not actually going to save you unless you have a way to disengage and be able to come back after a team fight. So right now, they don't exactly have that. Like the Tiny, if he's the one getting gone on, then probably you don't have a way to be able to follow up on that.
And it's fascinating as well because we've seen LGD being the team that always runs team fight 5s, right? That's been the big thing they've been doing this tournament. Last match against Nigma, they go for the Enchanters, more lane-oriented, and the Dazzle is also lane-oriented, right? Do you think there's a shift in their strategy to adapt to the OG?
Possibly. I mean, Dazzle and Nature's Prophet is a really strong lane together. Like, I know they're two range, which isn't typically the way to go about it, but if it's going to be, you know, a Viper or if it's going to be a Slardar, that's exactly what you want. And this is what I was thinking. Illusion Heroes against this very single target focused lineup. It's going to be great. You know, Naga Siren, Phantom Lancer was potentially an option as well, but yeah, I don't hate this Naga.
I'm curious now about, because I'm sure you've seen them play, right? And you just like witnessed it. Yeah. When you get to, they're going for strong lanes now in LGD, right? So it's not going to be the usual destroying MR lane. What happens when the lanes don't go their way? Like, what is the recovery like? How's the attitude in OG? Do they concentrate a lot? Do they maybe try to have a lighter atmosphere?
I think that you always, if you watch all the MR games, you see that he's going to try to find farm that makes him happy and makes him feel the vibe of the game.
Right.
And I think the most interesting thing right now is all these heroes can be very greedy, but who is playing what? Right. I mean, in my 2K pubs, you know, all these are core players. Core heroes, sorry.
Sure. What better way to scale? You know, if it gets to 50 minutes, they're like, we got this. We have that late game potential. But
that is the OG strat though until now. I'm pretty sure it's all carry.
I think that's to say, like the open AI, you know? Okay, how about we play like this? We all buy Midas, you know? We all get cores and we just have to make an hour game, you know? And then we'll be ready.
And that's where Taiga comes into play, right? His experience and his ability at cutting lanes. That's where he has shined and shown. And he has been able to kind of delay the games for OG to scale as they want to.
So I'm just trying to think what OG are looking to go for with this last pick of the overall draft. I wouldn't hate something like a Death Prophet, for example. You've got some percentage damage, you get that Spirit Siphon onto the real Naga Siren. Even if you're going to use the Mirror Image, it's still going to be able to follow you. Some extra tower push. Roshan just melts even faster. You probably don't even need to pop the Exorcism for it. I really wouldn't hate to see something like that. And again, it is still kind of flexible, right? You can toss it into multiple different lanes.
Where would you put it, though, the Death Prophet?
I don't think OG knows where they would put it if they were to pick it up, but...
Musical chairs. We're going to play music and we stop.
Yeah.
Are they the only team that's also played the Viper 4, I believe? Like, they're one of the few teams that actually wants to flex it as 4, at least in the tournament.
Yeah, you don't really often see it as a 4 because obviously 4s want to be rotating. They want to be making sure that you're able to assist with those water runes, those power runes, because, you know, I guess maybe that's a little bit less of a factor now, considering we're seeing the heroes that like to go for those power runes drop off a little bit. Not so much Ember Spirit, not so much Storm Spirit. Those are the big two. Obviously,
Puck's fallen off a little bit, though.
A little bit, yeah, for sure, and that's really because of the Tiny a lot of the time. So, but Tiny likes to use those water runes as well. So maybe OG just aren't valuing the rune rotations quite as much, and they just want to focus on dominating the lanes.
Right. And now OG, they currently have an issue with this Naga, right? You have a lot of minus armor, which is fine, but Naga also known for having one of the highest base armors in the game. Great agility gain. You have the help from the Dazzle as well in that regard. What is the final pick, or what do you think they need for this to answer them?
So you can see right now it's actually Chu and Amar that are drafting right now together. So Amar has the papers, which are also a staple for us.
Yes.
So he's drafting right now.
Yeah, I'm a little bit different, right? Obviously, Misha's like the captain of the team, and by the way, just a little bit of extra info, 24th birthday for Misha, so happy birthday to him. But maybe that's one of his presents, you know? Obviously, Amar has a lot of addition to the draft, but they're just like, you know what? Take it easy this time, Misha. We're going to let you sit back and relax.
There's the magic damage we were talking about, right? To deal with the high armor, and a favorite of them, the Puck. Does the Tiny go mid now for LGD? Dan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think you absolutely want to be doing this. I mean, Nature's Prophet is able to rotate through, right? And a Winter Wyvern coming through. Okay. I mean, up against a Dawnbreaker, it's a really solid lineup. I was thinking this is what I wanted with that turnaround potential, right? Dazzle can do the initial save, but it's what you do after that that's going to be the big turnaround potential. So against a lot of this minus armor, Winter Wyvern, of course, great against physical damage. If you're looking to ball up and just go, go, go with a Dawnbreaker, fantastic too. So two really different styles of lineups. I'm wondering if they might be just going a little bit too defensive on LGD's side. I think outside of this Tiny, they don't have the greatest ways to be able to make plays.
Does OG have ways to make plays? Are you excited about this game?
I'm very excited. I just still don't know who's going to play what.
Yeah, sure.
You guys want to take a guess?
We never find out on this panel, so you know it's been a staple of this. Yeah, sure. You want to take a guess? What? Let me just give me one. Like, what does Amar or BZM play?
I think Amar plays the. So I think Tiger's gonna play Viper.
Okay.
And obviously TA.
So Misha 5 Dawnbreaker.
Misha 5, yeah, Dawnbreaker.
And then Amar 3, and then BZM on the Amar Slaughter and BZM on the puck.
Yep.
Classic BZM puck. That was the hero with his Invoker when he was back on Creep Wave. That's always very exciting to see. Oh, the Viper. Oh.
The Viper.
Oh, no. Anyway, what about as we get into this first game? Will LGD's more defensive lineup be able to work? Will this new Dazzle strategy be successful? Or will this scary Viper that takes over the panel take over the lane as well? We're going to have to find out as we go to game number 1 between OG and PSG LGD.
Thank you, Alva. Right, here we are, game 1, OG, a classic for them, right? Lots of brawling, lots of team fight and catch, but LGD with more reset tools than I've ever seen in a Dota game.
It's a lot of healing. It's like, if we talk about their lineup, you have Nature's Prophet deeping back, you have Dazzle with the heal, Song, Winter Wyvern with the curse, to the heal. This is gonna be a very, very difficult game to just like, because, I mean, if you look at the OG's lineup, they do have explosiveness, they do have what it takes to isolate and bring down the hero, especially with Slaughter and TA. This is a lineup that's gonna threaten Roshan at every single stage of the game. I'm a little worried that this Naga Siren pick caught them a bit off guard, because in terms of the AoE control and damage, once Naga Siren gets to like 2-3 items, it's gonna be very difficult. But yeah, we can hear the crowd clapping. It's time. OG against PSG LGD on the main stage. This is what we wanted to see. You know, some international Dota, 2 big orgs, 2 big teams playing against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like TI Grand Finals quality of teams and players at this point. As we get ourselves into the first game of this series. What kind of build are we expecting from the Naga Siren? Because she's kind of been in and out of the meta from time to time. We've seen the move away from Diffusal into that kind of Manta Skadi, early scaling. Do we go back to the Diffusal now it's been buffed?
Definitely a good Skadi game we're talking about, especially against the Templar Assassin. So Manta style going to be your farming tool, into Skadi, into one more item. Most likely going to be like Aghanim Scepter to be able to deal with the BKB. Also laning stage. I'm looking at Naga Siren plus Dazzle. So, you know, having this heal bomb, something that has been popular.
With the illusions.
Absolutely. If we talk about like Naga, PL, super potent, a lot of healing coming out, and they wanted to sustain. Taiga's going to be playing Viper, something that he has done before a couple of times. I remember a few games where he like just went full tank mode and went for a Crimson Guard, but also more utility, going for Raid Pact, Force Staff, whatever the team is needed. Yeah, they do have... They do have a lot of silences, as I said. They do have like a bit of a global presence, especially if we talk about like the later stages of the game. Dawnbreaker ulti, Puck showing up, like Templar Assassin potentially getting Aghanim Scepter later on. But still, I think the fights are going to be very difficult. PSG LGD, they are known for good positioning, and now you have like 2 saving supports on top of your core also having a save. Even a toss back, that's also a save.
Yeah, you've got so many layers to that, don't you? You keep looking at this and it develops further and further as you think more about it. If someone gets gone on, they've got Curse to reset, Song to reset, Dazzle with the Grave, of course. We'll see how they do in these lanes, though. Early days, like you were saying, the Naga with the Dazzle. It's physical damage from the Shadow Wave and minus armor from Riptide. So that damage can quickly add up if you're caught unaware as OG, an incredibly strong safe lane. But on OG's side, it's a Slardar Viper, right? They've got aggression and the potential to dominate a lane of their own. Great ways.
It is a lot of healing. It is a lot of confusion because Slardar wants to lock onto target. Same goes for Viper. So using these illusions is going to be a bit difficult, I would say, for OG in the laning stage. Also, value from Dawnbreaker. They do have like good ways to reset the fight with Naga Siren ulti. We've seen Wyvern as a counter to Dawnbreaker. You just ulti whoever is getting ulted by Dawnbreaker, and you know you have like a pretty good setup overall.
And there are quite a few counters out there, right? You're talking about the Wyvern against Dawnbreaker, but there's also this Tiny against Puck that we've seen a lot of players not want to pick Puck into Tiny because it is the lane counter and also the mid-game counter with the nuke damage you have.
Yeah, you're always going to be able to threaten kill on Puck with Tiny. They don't have that much lockdown on the other heroes. The other one that Puck is going to be afraid of is Winter Curse. Other than that, he should be okay. I also want to see what item build on Fate Beyond's going to be, but we're talking about the Orchid, which is not that popular, but if they feel like they need more to be able to lock down Puck, you should go for it. Usually we see the Maelstrom into Gleipnir Shard build to be able to scale, and also, I mean, this is also a root mechanic, so really good against the Puck.
Yeah, more disables, more pushing power, always helpful for you. As we do get 3 bounty runes grabbed up by OG. Tiger there with the follow Alan Cook, Bonkers, one of their managers of OG. We're giving a shout out by Tiger and his team tag.
Oh, yeah.
He's the bald one with a big beard. He's a good lad.
Gotta give a shout out to all the people who are making this happen. And top lane, Jinkyu is going to be playing Wyvern, known for going extremely greedy. So I want to see what this time around he's going to be going for. Like we're talking about scaling item build most of the time. There's going to be harassment already. A couple of treants, something that Templar Assassin does not deal well in the laning stage. Misha already down to 60% HP.
Yeah, incredibly irritating. And double ranged up against double melee, basically. Templar Assassin, before she gets levels up in Side Blades, is basically a melee hero. In fact, she's worse than a melee hero at level 1. She can barely de-ward up high grounds with her base attack range. It's that bad. And Misha, for now, just contending with treants for the most part, throwing that Celestial Hammer to make sure they aren't chipping away at the TA and giving Yuragi that early space that he needs.
Misha starting with Ring of Protection, understanding that a lot of damage is going to be coming out from Nature's Prophet and the treants. Jinkyu stops the pull.
Very good.
A lot of denies on the mid lane. 4 already on Nothing to Say. 7 and 4 and only 3 and 2 on Puck.
Yeah, I was just looking in there because we know that this Tiny can handle the Puck incredibly well. So it's going to come down to BZM and trying to outmaneuver the Tiny, get those water runes. And did you expect OG to try and help him out? Because Viper not really the best hero to rotate, and Dawnbreaker, is she going to be controlling runes for the Puck as well? Or is this just down to BZM, you're on your own?
Probably we're talking about like 4 minutes to rune rotation. He's going to be the one calling the shots, whether he needs some kind of a help. And also if PSG LGD supports decide to move around, that means that potentially he's not going to be able to pick up one of the water runes. Tiny already has his bottle, and so does BZM. So let's see. They are deciding who goes left, who goes right.
Oh, BZM was right.
BZM was right indeed.
I do get their water runes for themselves. They're very, very laning focused from both teams. All the supports, not the most ideal rotators or gankers. As Tiger looks for the Courier Snipe bot, gonna miss out on it. Trying to play forward and harass back White. But it looks like so far, LGD coming out on top in the regen trade in that Naga Dazzle lane. Slardar doing well with the CS though, 14-2. Naga's 11-0, having a little bit of a struggle, but now we're level 3, we're going to have the potential for the kill threat and aggression from LGD if Viper ever oversteps his bounds.
Slardar Amar going for what he's known for, just a casual, 1 Bracer power treads into Mask of Madness. He wants to be able to scale, and we see the power whenever Ame uses his illusions into heal. Why? A little bit low on mana. Has 1 mango only to work with, so gotta be a little bit more careful.
Well, he will get a pull off into the Kobold camp. That should leave a couple of creeps to come back towards OG, but this is going to drag the wave back for Ame under his own tower. Give him that safety he requires. And Misha looks like he's going to go deny himself to the tier 2 tower. He's expended all of his resources. Drops the voice line.
But the TP from Fate Beyond.
He comes in. Gets the first blood. He saw that coming. Well-deserved tip. Misha thought he was just going to be absolutely fine to deny himself there.
That's big. Getting solo XP and getting the gold for that kill. He's almost as farmed as Templar Assassin, but a lot of denies. 9 denies on Tiny, 9 denies on Nature's Prophet.
Why is sending Amar back? Tiger really struggling to deal with these illusions, though. Every time Arme pops them out, there's one illusion going to Viper, one on the Slardar, and another couple as he farms the creep wave.
And it gets more difficult as you get levels on Naga Siren, because the cooldown goes down by 5 seconds with each level, and once you have it on level 4, that means you're going to be able to permanently have illusions.
Yeah, the wave also dragged back by LGD top. Nice cold embrace there, but down the bottom lane, Amar. The poison touch on him. Arme and Y nearly able to bring him down as Misha runs it back from top. It seems LGD having the better end of the stick in terms of controlling the wave in the area they want it to be. They're closer to their towers. They're getting more safe and secure farm. OG not being allowed to be as greedy as they wanted to. As JMR was saying on the panel, right, they are much greedier than the previous iterations of OG. Primarily down to Amar being the position 1, basically, in a lot of these games.
He's one from the off lane, no doubt about it. Taiga.
Oh, nothing to say. Tiger, all dropping very low. Viper is able to create a gap between himself and the Naga illusions. Needs Amar's help.
Power of these illusions right now. They don't have AoE to deal with that. Yeah, the constant sustain. I also see that Ame is going to go for a Ring of Bassi. So extra mana in the lane. Wants to finish off power treads first, of course.
Yeah, we see it quite a lot, right? You've got this nice position 1 that wants to spam. You buy the Bassi. We've seen a couple of mid players buy the Falcon Blade as well. I think it was Somnus buying it on the Lina.
On Lina, yeah. I didn't see other heroes, other players going for it, but yeah, he's extremely greedy whenever he plays Lina, because he wants to be able to constantly get those stacks up, you know, have that permanent 7 on Lina. And yeah, both of OG members on bottom lane very low.
I should continue. Annual victory for LGD.
Start was really good. Like in terms of CS, Amar's doing pretty good. He has what 32, and Naga Siren at 26. But as time goes by, it's just gonna get easier for Ame to play the lane.
Man, you keep looking back at that Tiny though. 45 and 17, not top of the net worth because Furion obviously got that first blood, but sitting close to 3,000 net worth as they bring Xingqiu mid, along with a catapult wave. A very early push, 6.5 minutes in from LGD. A cold embrace and the glyph.
Forward. Do I see that correctly? 6 minutes in, forcing a glyph, and nothing to say. Does have invis, but there is sentry placed by Misha.
Well, this is very aggressive, isn't it? What's the plan here for LGD? You're just trying to force OG to react. A toss back. They'll find Tiger. An easy one for them. Steps a little too far forward, and nothing to say will punish that.
Damage was done. Half of the HP on the tower gone. Ame feels safe on the bottom. They cannot kill him. They need to have Puck rotate the bottom lane to be able to kill Ame, but might not even get the kill because Y is level 4. He does have a point in Shallow Grave, so could potentially buy some extra time. We're talking about the Templar Assassin as well. No stacks being made at the moment. Yuragi gonna stack for himself potentially because Triangle is not stacked at all.
Yeah, it's a good move by LGD as gonna bash it onto the Naga, but look at that damage coming through from the Wrath of Nature. Y and Xingqiu helping out Arme to pick up a kill, and maybe Misha, yeah, TP back home successfully. There's such a swift move from LGD. They bring 4 mid, they chip away at the tower, but they don't stick around, right? They are immediately back into their lanes, missing out on maybe half a creep wave. On the other side, OG didn't overreact.
Oh, he's gonna
get
pick
tossed.
it up.
He gets the regen rune.
That's a big one. Stealing it from Puck and also having it on Tiny means that you're going to be able to play much more aggressive.
And now Tiger.
Combo on cooldown for a couple of seconds.
The Arctic Burn and the Poison Touch, so much slow onto an already sluggish hero. Tier 1 tower now wide open, getting pinged down. OG want to defend this. I don't know if LGD will go all out to try and pressure it. It looks like they're sticking around with the 3 here, and the Treants arriving in from the northern side. Well, they're like...
Fabian is not here, but he sent the 3-ins. It's all about these like small plays that you do. Fabian even gets the last hit. This is going to be really good timing on Orchid for Fabian.
And he preemptively sent them, right? They were already halfway through their duration when they arrived, so he sent them...
That's called communication, Gary. These are professional e-athletes. So.
Talking.
We heard your comms yesterday.
I'm jungling, I'm jungling, I'm jungling, I'm jungling, I'm pushing, I'm pushing.
This is not how the professional teams comms.
I had B-Cop in my lane. I had to say everything 5 times so he would listen.
Siren doesn't have a point in ulti, but nothing to say.
There comes Tiny. Avalanche toss, Fabian TP's in. The numbers are here. Everybody brought into the mix bottom lane and 2 heroes down. LGD.
I see 5 heroes from PSG LGD here. And look what Jinkyu's doing. He's the one who's using the Cold Embrace just to have some extra damage, just popping on the tower. Nothing to say, he's not done yet.
He's found Tiger.
And that's another one.
Toss him back across to Arme. The Shadow Wave bomb and a kill on him. 7-0. PSG LGD not mucking around. They came here to dominate, and so far it has been a clinic. Look at this building damage. 0 from the members of OG, tons from the Nature's Prophet
Viper
and the rest of the squad.
Have a 0 near his name. That's nothing. We don't expect Viper to deal any kind of tower damage unless he picks up the shard, which is going to be tough in this game. Siren, she's gonna go big. Ame completely free farming in this game, going for the Manta style. Like, I don't see how they're gonna be able to kill Naga with all these heal. Most of their damage is physical. We're talking about Templar Assassin Slaughter. Puck does have magical, but Cold Embrace, Dazzle, and also just reset from Song of the Siren.
Yeah.
And also having the Dispel mechanic. We're talking about Mirror Image, Manta style. PSG LGD, they're going to hit a really big timing. And if they are able to steal Roshan from OG, because OG's lineup is really good at taking it, that's going to be huge.
And it often feels you need it with a TA on your team, right? Yeah. You want that first Roshan to secure you another 3-4 minutes of free farm objectives. Get the gold into your TA so she can accelerate faster than her opponents. Well, yeah, the Viper, with no 0, I mean, his building damage is a square root of -1. It's just imaginary. BZM gonna need a lot of outplays in this. We've seen how well he can do on the puck when it comes to these scrappy team fights. He's gonna need a little bit more time to maneuver on this map, though, as it gets smaller and smaller for OG.
OG's not gonna even defend this tower. They are getting the farm, because net worth hasn't changed that much, you know, considering that they have 0 kills, didn't manage to deal any tower damage. Not gonna even say kill it, because 0 damage.
And all the tier 1s are dead.
Yeah, absolutely. They lost every single tier 1 tower, so this opens up the map for PSG LGD, and here's the smoke.
Where are they heading? I mean, who would they ideally like to kill in this situation? Is it the TA, I guess?
It's Puck, I would say.
Okay.
Because Nature's Prophet does have Orchid coming up to him, so Puck is going to be food.
The smoke pops. Amar was up on the high ground, aggressively jungling. They'll find him and then stun him with the avalanche from nothing to say. Slardar caught. And how many, Lacoste? Can you count them again?
1, 2, 3, 4. Ame is in the enemy triangle. He wants to be able to steal some of the farm from Templar Assassin.
But there's really no half measures, right? LGD, every time they move, it is as 3 or 4 or 5. There's not a 2-man rotation. It's not one hero left alone. It's Ohana. Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind. They are a tight-knit group.
So far, perfect aim from PSG LGD. Moving to the mid lane, getting the numbers, securing the runes for their Tiny.
And a curse. It's in there onto the 2 supports. Misha being hit down by his Viper, and nothing to say arrives, blows them up. 10-0. Spectacular stuff from LGD. 4-0-4 on the Tiny. What do we say about that? Death not found?
Yeah. It's looking really rough for OG in this game. They don't have like heroes that can make aggressive moves, because Dawnbreaker as a 5 is much
fantasy
more
points.
like counter
No,
defensive.
fantasy points. Oh, yeah, 14. Nature's Prophet right out there at the front.
And Fabian, after finishing the Orchid, which is going to completely cripple Puck, even Templar Assassin, going for a Witchblade to have some extra overtime damage against the Templar Assassin. I think OG should try to farm up Deso on Templar Assassin. Yuragi's relatively close, needs another 2 minutes of free farming, and then go with the... Because Puck has a Witchblade. Right now they're smoked. They're trying to make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, look at that.
I don't think I've ever
everywhere.
I don't think I've seen heat map like that, because they're all around the place. Everyone's moving. They're not static.
Like maybe 60 minutes in, but 13 minutes in, he's everywhere. Faith Bian gets the silence onto the Dawn. Jinkyu is nearby as well. Let's see if he can turn this back. It looks like the Prophet will be slain by Yuragi's TA. A nice streak to be grabbed, and the Wyvern's been left alone. And that play style they were talking about by LGD has broken down a little bit. They've spread the map wide, and they weren't all together this time.
Yeah, it's very important to get that kill for the team, because they were sitting at 0. If you look at the top of the screen, like, yeah, it can potentially affect you, so getting a 1 or 2 is pretty big. Nothing to say so far. Pretty much a perfect game. Has a haste rune in the bottle going for the Echo Sabers, so they should, like, they could easily also outnumber OG with the global teleport, Tiny with the haste, and seems like they want to make something done.
Yeah, it's a good point by JJ there, just hovering over the 2 cores of OG. They're both 1-0-1. Neither of the cores have died, so all of these kills from LGD have been on supports or less valuable heroes. As they jump in onto the Slardar, this is a valuable one. Amar will get the crush out. Nothing to say, looking to finish him off, but the Dawnbreaker Solar Guardian arriving, and Amar needed to be cursed up. Dawnbreaker will whack him down though, and Misha's arrived onto the scene to be netted up by the Naga Siren and finished off by the Illusions.
And nothing to say, still not done. Getting
Big
another
toss
one
back,
with the haste.
straight into the middle of 4 of them. LGD realizing, right, we can't have these heroes being 2 up top and 2 down bottom. We'll group up again as 405 and show OG what we're made of.
So much aggression from PSG LGD. Every single time they get like another small item, they decide to go in and get another kill. Ame completely free farming on top of the net worth, going Scotty next after finishing the Manta style. Once you get to that Scotty timing, that means that Templar Assassin, like, I don't think she's gonna be able to do much in these fights. I mentioned the Deso timing on Templar Assassin. I think they should try to go and potentially get a kill, turn that into Roche, because it takes you like 20-25 seconds to kill Roche with TA and Slardar plus Deso.
Yeah, you can do it incredibly quickly. Amara looking to finish off his blink. Gets away from the grasp of nothing to say. They assume there's vision around there. LGD just wandering into the darkness though. And Armate deep in his own jungle, sitting in the pocket to farm away. Jinkyu and Y turning around on Misha. Getting a D-ward while the Dawnbreaker dies inside the Sprout. Y has his priorities right. Kill the vision before the heroes. Make sure OG didn't have any recourse, no turnaround potential. And nothing to say again. Just jumps straight into the middle of them. Amar tossed back into the Wyvern. Sprout is there as well. And nothing to say is Tiny on the run back. Arme will guard in while they kill the Slardar simply.
There's too much sustain from PSG LGD. They can't go like way too deep, something that Nothing to Say just did, and he knows that he can rely on one of the 2 supports to be able to bail him out, whether we're talking about the Cold Embrace or the Grave.
Yeah, look at that, ridiculous. There was like 8k healing between the Dazzle and the Wyvern. And damage spread very evenly across all 5 of LGD. Well, Amar has yet been able to really stick on a target and get his damage out onto someone.
Well, I heard you saying, Gary, that none of the cores died on side of OG, and I see Amar with 0, 5, and 0.
None of the important ones. No, I was specifically talking about the TA and the puck, the ones they're trying to get a little bit more room. But is this LGD focusing Amar? Like we said, he's kind of the position 1 from the off lane, right?
He is. Every single time Amar is shut down, I feel like OG's having a much tougher game. Nothing to Say was looking for an opening, but could not get it done.
Yeah, he's definitely the driving force of OG, Amar. So good at getting in the thick of things, using his farm very effectively. That's only when he has it. Right now, sat just under 6k net worth, bottom of all the cores. 500 away from Blink, so not too far, but Misha jumped in the mid lane. Sent backwards in towards White. And another kill for LGD, 16-2. Tiger found and netted up. He gets the Tumbler's Toy up towards the high ground, but Arme will chase him to the ends of the earth if need be on a killing spree for the Naga Siren. While Templar Assassin finishes off her ancient camp and runs it back. And while this aggression is happening in the dire triangle, you look at top, tier 2 tower. Chipped away at by the Nature's Prophet.
And can we check the tower damage done by the teams? I don't think... we still might be at 0. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nutty. They've barely crossed the river, have they? And this is
now
the Roshan
inside the
steal.
mid they go. Yep, stealing Roshan from Templar Assassin, Slardar lineup. It's gonna be good. Like, we might even see PSG LGD go for the high ground push with the first Aegis. Because they're definitely gonna feel comfortable. Naga Siren needs another 600 gold to finish off Scotty. There's way too much sustain on their side. And also the rune control. Nothing to say, pretty much picked up every single rune in this game.
It's been
another
non-stop.
one.
He's going to get caught out here, though. Sprout is there onto Tiger. Cold Embrace to keep Nothing to Say alive. And they've got the curse, allowing the Tiny to maybe slip away. Oh, he's going up aggressively. He wants to try and finish them off. Blowing up BZM. The Dawnbreaker Solar Guardian comes in, but the Graves on the Tiny now. Nothing to Say. Going for the TP away. He's successful. No, he's cancelled. He wants to fight. They've got the Naga Song. They want to blow up Amar now. One by one. OG will fall with a Cold Embrace as well. They just can't kill anybody. OG are struggling. LGD are dominating.
They managed to completely dominate the laning stage with their heroes, and now you're up to a point where 2 supports plus also having 1 core being able to save people, bail them out of the trouble. And this is what I mentioned, like, they're gonna go for the high ground push. And OG just doesn't have what it takes to deal, like, they can't even deal with 2 supports. Naga completely untouched. They know that they cannot kill her.
Now this reminds me of like old OG, where they still had Fly, and they would build up these drafts where they had Io and Dazzle and Huskar, and they'd have, you know, Wyvern, multi-layers of support. You go on one that saves the other, that saves the other, and right now, Nothing to Say, he knows he has so much backup. He dives tier 4 towers. He's able to turn and fight, because he's still got the Shadow Wave, the heal, the Grave, everything on top of him to keep him alive. They've killed Misha. Tiger, he's not going to survive. Naga Siren will dive in behind the barracks. They finish off the buildings, and LGD cruising towards victory at this point. OG will now look towards the Naga Siren, eyes on Army. There's the coil snap. They blow up one. Y is dropped, but the Winter's Curse straight onto Amar. Take the Slardar down as Arme stands his ground, healed up by the Cold Embrace, but this time OG.
Big ulti.
They should be able to find a couple of quick kills, but Yuragi, oh, he can't contend with these Naga illusions. Oh, Arme, he just 1v3ing them at this point. Nothing to Say will arrive back in, and Tiny punches down the TA. I don't believe this. Arme's still alive.
This might be, they were not able to take down Aegis, and they're gonna call it. What a beautiful performance from PSG LGD in game number 1.
21 minutes.
We had a lot of one-sided games this tournament. We're talking about Team Secret against the PSG LGD also being one. But the PSG LGD today, they came here to play. Like, literally no mistakes being made. The double duo of saves coming out from 2 supports, and also Ame having a perfect game, Nothing to Say, controlling every single rune for himself. I think OG will need to go for different support duo. They're not going to be allowed to play like as defensive. This position for Viper, not too much impact. They definitely got countered in the laning stage with Naga Siren plus Dazzle. They were not allowed to get the aggression done.
Yeah, I think they're going to go back to the playbook and reconsider that Viper first pick, right? Because it's the flex pick they love to shift from 4 to 3. Maybe give it to Amar or Tiger. Could shove it in the mid lane, but didn't look particularly good this game. And I think you were right, honestly. We talked about that Naga Siren, the answer to OG's aggression. It caught them completely off guard. Yeah, that second phase from LGD was spot on, perfect.
They will need to shift things around in game number 2 because this was one-sided. They got dismantled.
Systematic destruction of OG from drafting stage through the laning stage, and stealing that Roshan absolutely helped for them as well.
Also, that first rotation from Fate Beyond, because like Misha did go and try to deny himself. Fate Beyond gets the first blood off to a really good start in the laning stage as well. He was really never threatened. Then he TP's mid. You see 4 heroes of PSG LGD trying to take down the tower. Then Fate Beyond farming on the top lane, sending the Treants to the mid lane just to be able to help out and scout things out where OG members are positioned.
They all click together beautifully, but we can now head back to the panel to think about what OG have to do differently coming into game 2.
Yes, we will be doing a lot of thinking as we look over these highlights brought to you by Aramco. JMR, you know, last panel, you talked about around 16, 20, that was their average age, but it turns out it's their average game time.
Oh, nice. You wrote that on the break.
I did.
That's what I saw you like, oh, what can I say? Well, I would say, boys, welcome to Chinese Dota, you know?
Yes, indeed.
This is what happens, you know?
It's a myth. Chinese Dota is not slow.
If anyone said that in the past, like 6 years, you've been wrong, but I think this game is the one to prove that the most. I mean, dead on. I just want you to rave about this. Dazzle, Naga, Winter Wyvern, my man.
Love it. I mean, it's just so many opportunities for the disengage. The lane even is really solid. You were talking about in our little green room, Marvo, that this combination of just the Naga and the Dazzle, right? You're able to get on top of someone with the Ensnare. You got 1 point into it, I think at level 4 or 5 on the Naga Siren. Poison Touch, Shattered Wave. Very, very easy to dish out a ton of damage. And it really felt like Amar was not enabled at all. 1, 7, and 0, as we can see. The big issue for mine, even though he's a fantastic player, Tiger felt like he didn't have any impact on the Viper, and that just goes back to the draft. We saw against TSM, OG wanted to flex the Viper a little bit. They wanted it to be the option of the position 3 or the position 4, but they picked it together with a Dragon Knight that doesn't have to be in the off lane. Slardar kind of has to be in the off lane. It's a rare game where you can put it into a position 1 and still have a lot of impact.
Exactly. And PSG LGD figured that out. As you said, the Naga, we talked about the high armor. They also got the good lane of the Tiny versus Puck. It was an interesting bait by OG, right? Forced a Tiny mid. It didn't look like the best Tiny mid game, but that lane went so well. It was difficult to beat as we have the scoreboard by STC. But now it's important to look at the future. Everyone on this panel wants a 3-game series, but one person maybe a little bit more than others. JMR, what does OG do when they're facing a loss? What's the speech that they're given now?
Look, I think when you look at the scoreboard, you cannot really get too jaded because there's sometimes things don't work out, and then you're like, oh my god, we're all bad. It's like, no, it's just the whole draft was disabled. I think now they have to go back and just think, how can we gain the game?
Right.
How can we bring it to them so they feel the pressure that we just felt? Because we do this to every team. In a way, they did to us what we normally did to other teams, and they maybe have not experienced this Naga with the Dazzle, with the NP. Now, I would like them to be confident about what they pick and hopefully think about, we're going to crush you.
Right.
What is the draft that allows you to crush you?
Who's usually the person on the team who takes the reins for that kind of line of thought?
I think that, look, in all the teams, it's like the conversation, you know, like, oh, I think I felt completely disabled here. I felt like this, and I want not to feel like that, you know?
Sure.
Because Dota, in many points, is a feeling. How does it feel when you're playing it?
Right.
So for us, obviously, my 2K Dota knowledge is not going to allow me to elaborate much. I just want them to feel confident because, you know, you feel the pressure. Now there's a lot of money on the line. You just play LGD. You just experience what LGD does to you because they do it to everybody else. Now what do you do to them, you know?
Yeah.
And on the LGD side, you know, we talked about perhaps some Chinese teams were sometimes lacking versatility in international tournaments. LGD has never been that team, historically speaking. I think we get to see it again. This draft, Enigma Galaxy's last draft in the best of 3, and the first draft of that series, literally all complete different in what they're attempting to do. How do you stop a team that has this many strategies?
You don't. It's as simple as that. I mean,
let them run over you.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
No worries. I mean, you got Faith Beyond and Y, right? TI6, Wings, that was their big thing. You just could not prepare against them. No 2 strats were the same, and it really feels like they're bringing that to the front. I mean, Faith Beyond played the Nature's Prophet. It's nothing like revolutionary that he's doing here, but just the little plays that he was able to make, you know, making sure that he could TP so that you weren't able to, sorry, he was actually able to claim the first blood as we get a nice little close-up on the trophy there, what they're playing for in addition to the prize pool. But I think, again, it's going to sound like I'm a little bit of the fanboy of the second pick.
A little bit of a fanboy.
I'm the second pick.
Okay.
Because I think that's where LGD won this draft. They were able to respond to everything that OG had. You know, they had the Naga Siren, which was good against the heavy single target focus that they were able to pick with the last pick of the second phase, and then ending the draft out with a Winter Wyvern against Slardar, who is all physical damage, against a Dawnbreaker that we saw. You just ulti whenever Dawnbreaker is ulting as well. Easy cleanup. You know, you have multiple ways to disengage, start the fights. I was a little worried that they would have to be a little too passive and reactionary, but big kudos to the way that Faith Beyond, as well as Nothing to Say, played. They were playing so aggressively, almost never playing on their side of the map after the laning stage.
Now we might get the COG on the second pick, right? And they get to be the ones that are reactive. And I'm interested now when that happens. Chuvash and Misha, I think they're the, well, also Amar, right? But they're strategists, Chuvash and Misha. I know in the Stockholm Major, they were a big deal. They were always on Discord on Johan's phone.
Yeah.
How does this process work with the rest of the team? When do they reveal those strats? So does everyone know how the best of 3 is going to go in the beginning?
So
Or
it's really Amar, the one drafting.
is it Amar entirely?
So the whole idea is like they have prepared, and you prepare a lot of things during the scrims and all that. And Amar is the one with the papers, and Amar is the one I think, okay, how you guys feel about this? And I think that him being selecting the heroes and clicking that, it also allows Misha to just be able to communicate. Because you know